A Harmony of the Gospels for Students of the Life of Christ by A.T. Robertson. 743. He heals Peter's mother-in-law and many others. At Capernaum in Peter's home. Mark 1:29-34. And straightway, when they were come out of the synagogue, they came into the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's wife's mother lay sick of a fever, and straightway they tell him of her. And he came and took her by the hand, and raised her up, and the fever left her, and she ministered unto them. And at even when the sun did set, they brought unto him all that were sick, and them that were possessed, or demoniacs, with devils. And all the city was gathered together at the door, and he healed many that were sick with diverse diseases, and cast out many devils, or demons. And he suffered not the devils or demons to speak, because they knew him. Many ancient authorities add to be Christ, see Luke 4:41. Well, one of the things that happened was that there was more adding of Christ than pretty much anything else. In the later versions of the New Testament texts, Matthew chapter 8, verse 14-17, and when Jesus was come into Peter's house, and saw his wife's mother lying sick of a fever, and he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto him. And when even was come, they brought unto him many possessed, or demoniacs, with the devils, and he cast out the spirits with a word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, or through Isaiah the prophet. See Isaiah 53:4, saying, himself took our infirmities and bare our diseases. Luke chapter 4, verse 38-41. And he rose up from the synagogue and entered into the house of Simon. And Simon's wife's mother was holden with a great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her, and immediately she rose up and ministered unto them. And when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with diverse diseases brought them unto him, and he laid his hands on every one of them, and healed them. And the devils also came out from many, crying out, and saying, Thou art the Son of God. And rebuking them, he suffered them not to speak, because they knew that he was the Christ. In sections 44-52, Jesus makes his first tour of Galilee with the 4 fishermen, whom he has now called to follow him continuously. On the return to Capernaum, Matthew is called, and various miracles arouse the enthusiasm of the multitudes and the hostility of the Pharisees to Christ's teachings. Now, one of the things that we do encounter is that the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that we have mentioned as the gospel writers, well, they're not the ones from that century. Well, John, end of the century versus beginning of the century, but they're not the same generation. And there's clues in that. It's harder to figure out that after the canonical Gospels, but before the Book of Revelation portions, are also 2nd century in their started.